Part 2, guys, of my in-depth review of my HOYT RX-1. In this episode, I'm going to go over all of the bow's specs and what models you guys can get. So stay tuned, that way you guys can find out what kind of bow the RX-1 is and what it has to offer. Okay, part 2 of my in-depth review breakdown of the HOYT RX-1. This second part is going to be more about the bow itself and what the bow has to offer. DFX cams, it's a little bit more of an aggressive cam compared to the old Defiance DFX cams. So when you're drawing back, it's kind of the first initial pull is going to be a lot more aggressive there on the pull. However, but it seats down so nicely. That's one thing that I really enjoy is the let off with this bow. It's got an amazing let off. And so that was a big upgrade for me from the Defiant to this bow. Straight out of the box, ATA is 340 FPS. With the ATA being 340, I feel like it's pretty accurate because with the setup that I have with a 29.5-inch draw length, shooting a little bit of a heavier arrow with the Easton Axis 5mm, it's shooting at 319 FPS. So I can imagine that you could get an extra 21 FPS if it was, you know, bare with a lighter arrow and do the draw length as far back as possible. The brace height on the RX-1, they went ahead and went with a shorter brace height. It's 6 inches brace height. The mass weight of the bow itself is 3.9 pounds. Just bare bow, exactly how it is, straight out of the box. With the carbon, it's fairly light there. It's very warm to the touch. It's solid feeling. It doesn't feel weak or kind of cheap feeling at all. It feels expensive, it looks expensive, and it shoots expensive. It's a super awesome bow. I've really enjoyed it. The axle to axle, so this bow actually comes in 3 different sizes. So this one here is the 32-inch axle to axle. The RX-1 Ultra, that's going to be a lot larger of a axle to axle with a longer draw length for those of you that are out there that are a lot more tall. And that axle to axle is going to be 35, so that's going to add an extra few inches there. And with the RX-1, it's going to come in the draw length options. There's one cam that's 24.5 to 28. There's a second cam that's 27 to 30, and then there's a third cam that's 29 to 31, and that's in the solid RX-1. In the Ultra, it's going to come in the options of 25.5 to 29-inch draw length, and then 28 to 31-inch draw length. And then for those of you guys that are super tall and really need that extra long draw length, they have a third cam that's 30 to 32-inch draw length. So you have the HOYT RX-1, the HOYT RX-1 Ultra, and then the HOYT RX-1 Turbo. And with the Turbo, it's shooting the ZT Turbo cams, so it's going to be a little bit different than the ZT Hyper cams. And then the draw length options, it comes in 2 options of 26 to 28-inch draw lengths. The Turbo is going to be shooting at 350 FPS, so you're getting an additional 10 FPS on top of the RX-1 32-inch axle to axle. The Turbo is also a 32-inch axle to axle. The brace height on the Turbo is going to be a little bit shorter, just 1/8 of an inch shorter than the RX-1 and the RX-1 Ultra. It's a 5 7/8. The Ultra being a little bit longer at the 35 axle to axle. That one is 4.1 pounds straight out of the box, and the Turbo is 3.9 pounds, just, you know, exactly the same as this RX-1. And then with the draw weight options, the regular RX-1 has anywhere between 30 to 80 pound limbs for that draw weight, and same with the Ultra. And then the Turbo actually stops at 70, so it's anywhere between 30 to 70. And this one here is actually the 70 to 80 pound limbs for just a little bit of extra power on each and every shot that I make. whether it be a deer. Of course, this can be most likely a full pass through if it's a good shot. And then also on an elk, I can have that little bit further of a distance with just as much power. So with the ZT Hyper cams, they've kind of created it to be a little bit more comfortable, a lot less strain at full draw. Like I was saying earlier with the let off, this bow is actually coming with a 85% let off, which is super, super nice to be able to have that much let off at full draw. You're gonna be able to hold that a lot longer. One thing that I really want to touch up on is the zero torque system. So they have the zero torque cable guard system here, and it's just a cable roller, not necessarily a guard anymore. Before they had to have the guard that came out and then flexed those cables in. That way it was preventing to have as much torque as a bow would normally have. With their zero torque system, in one of my videos I remember mentioning that it has zero torque whatsoever, and that's not true. Each and every bow is going to have a little bit of torque. With this system, it just allows them so that you don't have to have the cable guard, but just the cable rollers, and still have that minimum amount of torque. It is called the ZT system, the zero torque system, but every bow is going to have a little bit of torque. One really nice feature that I like is part of the zero torque system is the split yoke system. So that way it's pulling on both sides of this bottom cam. Instead of having that cam lean, this is gonna allow it to be a lot less of a lean, close to nothing, having that same pressure on both sides. And then another awesome feature is the yoke system up top. There are the eyelets, I believe. One is actually a little bit bigger than the other one to pull the string up on the side that it needs to be pulled on. I don't know if any of that made sense at all, but they have basically thought of all the little things that are really gonna matter. As well as being able to change your draw length. Before the Defiant, that one you'd actually have to have in a special press. You couldn't put it in any press. They had to have the right mounts to be able to allow the limbs at the angle that they were at to be compressed without sliding and falling out of the bow press and ruining your bow and everything like that. With the RX-1, you can actually change your draw length without a press at all. It's just the accessibility of being able to grab an Allen wrench, unscrew a couple screws, match them in the right place, and they have different settings between A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And before with the Defiant, you had to remember what setting A, B, C, D, E, F, G really was. And they went ahead and actually put a cheat sheet, which is going to be really nice for the pro shops. And it's just up here on the limb. So at setting A, it's 27-inch draw length, B 27.5, and then G would be 30. And I have mine at E, which is, a 29-inch draw length. I thought it was at 29 and a half, but I was wrong. So that is a 29-inch draw length with mine, and the cheat sheet is super, super nice to have. And then touching up with the carbon. I actually took this bow down to Arizona, and I was in some pretty cold climate area. It got down to about 10 degrees, 8 degrees, and it was really, really cold outside. However, I don't like to have a glove on the hand that I hold my bow. And before on my Defiant was actually the aluminum version of my Defiant, and the bow would always get super, super cold and make my hand that much colder to force me basically to wear a glove. However, with this carbon, it doesn't change temperature. It's not gonna get cold when it's cold outside, and it's not gonna get hot when it's hot outside. And I personally have really, really enjoyed that, especially on this last hunt that I was in down in Arizona. I didn't have to have a glove to hold that. It stayed the same temperature. It wasn't making my hand ice cold, and I really, really enjoyed that. Also with the HOYT RX-1, they have gone ahead and kind of like what I talked about in part 1 with the rear stabilizer system. So now they have an actual threaded area to be able to bolt in a rear stabilizer. Before that, you'd have to attach something to the front and then have it go back from there. And I've really enjoyed that they have it on the back of the riser. I've yet to find any flaw with this bow. It's been such an amazing bow. I really enjoy shooting it, and I look forward to doing a review out in the field, shooting it and showing you guys all the components that are moving, how they work together and everything like that. Show you guys how quiet it is when you shoot it, how accurate it's gonna be. If there's anything that you guys catch that I miss, feel free to comment below. Let me know what I miss or what I accidentally said wrong or anything like that, and I'll be able to help fix that in the next video in part 3. That way I'm not giving any false information about the RedWorks. I am not sponsored by HOYT. This is not promoted by HOYT whatsoever. This is my honest opinion. And I was able to shoot a lot of different bows when I was purchasing a bow, and this one was most comfortable to me. However, other bows are going to be more comfortable to everyone out there, so you might want to shoot a different bow rather than this HOYT RX-1, and that's totally okay. I support people in their decisions in making the best decision on what bow is most comfortable to them. And so with that, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. It means so much to me. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, that way you guys can see part 3 and know when I post it. I do have a giveaway still going on my Instagram to give away one of these hacks and hats. I've got a few of them, so go ahead and go on my Instagram at hacksandhunt and give that a like, comment which hat you want to win, and I'll send one to someone out there. But thank you guys so much. Have a good rest of your day.